Hey guys, this is my second live today. You might even get three. So welcome to Notions at Noon. Um, as you see from the thumbnail, four times that seduction was actually used in the Bible, and it was seen as righteous. When it comes to the Bible, things can be contradictory only because people do not take the context that it's being used in at that particular time. Something that can be deemed negative can actually be good if it's used in a particular context or situation. All right. So, um, let me see. Before I lose my train of thought. Sorry, guys. But you know, recently the rapper Mia X, if you watch the verses between Cash Money um, and No Limit, all right. If you all don't listen to rap, it, you won't know what I'm talking about. But if you are hip hoppers, you know who and what I'm talking about. Hi, Eric. And Mia X, she was reciting the lyrics to a song, right? And I'm just going to use this as a point as to the power of a woman, the power of woman parts, and just the power she possesses just because, of what she possesses. Now, in this song, she says that men die for Pussy. They live for Pussy. They will unalive people for Pussy. They go to war over Pussy. And Pussy has been the source of many, many, many wars over the years. All right. Hi, Eric. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, seduction, like I said, has been often labeled negative. It is not viewed as a positive attribute in the Bible. Anytime you hear about seduction and a haughty woman and all of those things, is almost always negative. But I wanted to talk about four different times in the Bible where it's actually good and it wasn't a negative thing. It was actually used to the advantage of the people in the Bible, or to the advantage of the Israelites in the Bible. All right. So, the first example is Tamar and Judah. All right. In the story of Tamar and Judah, if you're not familiar with that story, Tamar was married to several of Judah's sons, and they all died off because that was the culture. If one son died, the widow, the wife, would have to marry the next son, and so on and so on and so on. All right, the next brother. But Judah had one son left, his youngest son, and he did not give him to Tamar because of fear of him passing away too. But what Tamar did was she paraded herself and pretended to be a prostitute, and she lowered Judah into sleeping with her, and she got pregnant by Judah, which was technically her father-in-law. When Judah found out what she had done, he said, you are more righteous than I am. You know why? Because Judah didn't uphold his word, which caused Tamar to go and do what it is she had to do, because Judah did not fulfill his part of the promise. So in that instance, Tamar was actually seen as being the righteous one in that situation. The second story is the book of Judith. Now, if you're not familiar with the book of Judith, you got to go dig it up. But anyway, what she did was she seduced the Assyrian general, all right, because he was coming after her people. So what she did was she seduced him. She infiltrated his camp. She got all dressed up, all dolled up, all beautified, and she went in there, seduced him, and beheaded him. All right. So that's the second example of how seduction was used righteously in the Bible. All right. All right. Next, The story of Abigail and David. Now, in the story of Abigail and David, if you're not familiar, Abigail's husband was being very foolish and reckless with his behavior and how he was speaking to King David. And then Abigail's husband was not on this earth anymore. All right. So Abigail, she humbled herself and she presented herself before King David. All right. And King David actually ended up marrying her. The fourth example of how seduction was used righteously in the Bible is the story that is used all the time. Ruth and Boaz. Like this story is used as one of the prime examples of love and respect and honor and getting married and all of those things to do to get married. Now, Ruth did humble herself because, she was going into the territory of her mother-in-law's family, right? So she wanted to get married to secure herself and her mother-in-law because she wanted to make sure that they were taken care of. And back in that day, the way to do that was to get married. All right. She was a widow. So what Ruth did, and it was not something you should have done at that time because it was not ladylike. It was not, something that a woman should be doing. All right. She went into Boaz's chambers, which is already not a really good thing to do because you could be viewed as a whore or seductress or any other thing. And what she actually did was she, in essence, unclothed him. She removed the garment off of his feet and exposed his feet. So in essence, she was undressing him, which was not seen as a good thing for a woman to be doing at that time. But for her to do that in that way was subtly seducing Boaz, all right, to gain his confidence, to gain his trust and his admiration, all right. So after doing that, and among other things, and him taking favor upon her, she did end up marrying Boaz. So those are all different stories of how seduction was actually used in the Bible. And you can go and you can read them in their entirety. But like I said, some negative things, and when things are deemed negative as a whole, it just depends on the context, the instance, the circumstances under which they are being used. Everything can have a good or bad connotation. Water can be good or bad. You need it to nourish yourself, to hydrate yourself. However, too much water can end your life. All right. Fire can be good or it can be bad. It can be used to end your life, or it can be used to sustain you and cook your food and keep you warm. Any and everything can be used for good or bad. Again, it just depends on how you're using it. So I hope that this live was useful to you all and that you got something out of it, and you all be blessed.